It's estimated about 300,000 Australian families have a child with special needs. And while there's been much debate over the resources available to help those families and the child to cope, there's another aspect that receives virtually no attention. It's the so-called normal children, whose childhood is often compromised by the challenges of having a handicapped brother or sister. Often the needs of their sibling leaves them frustrated and even envious, in some cases angry, anxious and depressed. But one woman who has lived through such a childhood has formed Siblings Australia to help children deal with their difficult circumstances. Mike Sexton reports from Adelaide.
It's Saturday morning at a suburban Adelaide swimming pool, and for William Bradford, it's the best time of the week. William Bradford is severely autistic, and for his father and full-time carer Terry Bradford, this is one of the few opportunities to enjoy some time with both his children.
This is a matter of letting him get in the water and he will splash for an hour at a time.
Nice big step. That was better, but not as far leaning forward.
At the other end of the pool, 16-year-old Elizabeth Bradford is teaching the next generation of swimmers. Originally, she wasn't that keen on going to the pool, but because her parents wanted her brother to exercise, Elizabeth Bradford had to adapt.
I was dragged along kicking and screaming, which it's good now because I'm now like a swimming instructor and it's income for me.
Elizabeth Bradford has only ever known life with a brother whose handicap has earned him the family nickname Captain Chaos.
And if you leave William alone for any period of time, you'd have every book in the house thrown on the floor and torn, milk everywhere, water everywhere. It'd be dramatic.
For Elizabeth Bradford, just finding a quiet place to do schoolwork can be difficult in a house where her brother needs constant supervision. She's grown up watching the toll caring for her brother has taken on her parents.
Because of my brother, they've got a very sheltered life. We're very independent, like we'd never see anyone. Sorry, I sound very emotional, but the whole, because of him, we don't go out as a family.
The Bradfords are typical of families across the country caring for a child with special needs. While there are services available for those children, there are virtually none for the so-called other child, the ones without special needs, but who are often struggling to cope in a home where parents don't have enough time or energy for them.
They look okay, they walk, talk, and it's very easy for people to think, well, why do they need support? But they don't understand the emotional effects of that.
For Elizabeth Bradford, the emotional effects became too much during her primary school years when she was bullied, which led to depression and tantrums.
One of the year fours, when I was in year 5, said to me, "Your brother's retarded, and therefore you are retarded."
Really destroyed her, and I was down that school all the time.
With their daughter's behaviour deteriorating, the Bradfords sought help from Kate Strohm, who runs the only organisation specialising in such work. Kate Strohm's own childhood closely resembled Elizabeth Bradford's, as her sister has cerebral palsy and needed full-time care from her parents.
I remember going to parties and she'd be at home crying because she couldn't go, so it's very hard to enjoy, in many ways, your own successes and your own abilities. I also felt resentful of the attention that she got, but then felt guilty about that.
After writing a memoir about her childhood, Kate Strohm found she was being sought out by people with similar stories, asking for help. Eventually, she formed Siblings Australia as a support group for kids.
Meeting Kate was like, oh my God, there's someone who's normal, that's had the same things as me. So, I could say to her, oh, it's so annoying because he's done this, this and this, and she'll go, yeah, my sister did this, this and this, and it's sort of like the whole, I've got someone to relate to.
Parents are given that news without really...
In addition to lending a sympathetic ear, Kate Strohm advocates for services on behalf of families and teaches parents how to care for all their children.
You can see the light bulbs go off, and the things that I'm talking about are very simple things. And because I think parents are often so overwhelmed by what they need to do that it's, oh gosh, now I've got to think about this, whereas they often go away quite relieved that the sorts of things we discuss are fairly simple.
Kate actually put me straight because I'd so much cherished having, if you like, a normal child. I wanted Elizabeth to have
everything.
Yeah, and Kate actually got me to realise that I had to accept that Elizabeth had to be more like her peers than perhaps I'd like.
Kate Strohm's work is in such demand she's made regular trips overseas, but her dream is to expand in this country.
We need to realise that if we give those kids support, not only does it help that child, but it also helps the child with special needs.
I think anything which addresses the sort of family situation and makes that easier to cope with is clearly worthwhile.
Ben Chod-Seisner is president of the national lobby group Carers Australia. He believes Siblings Australia, like many other programs, deserves more money. But at the moment, the need for carers is increasing much faster than the funding for it.
There's never enough. There's a long list of programs and activities that we consider worthwhile, and I guess everybody has to prioritise those and determine what's most important.
For families like the Bradfords, the final challenge for their normal child is to care for the handicapped sibling when their parents can no longer manage it. The Bradfords have begun preparing for that time, but are equally determined that their daughter enjoy a full life.
I would just like her to do whatever she wants to do as well as she can. A life that she can be happy with.
Mike Sexton.